to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been a varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Currently, my daughter and I are coaching one of the best AAU teams in the country. I know this is going to be a season of a lot of ups and downs, and our Pistons, though, are very exciting to watch, and we're so blessed to have them. I recently heard that the Pistons are averaging almost 112 points a game before the last game against the Bucks, but that was the highest of any Piston team since 2000, not 2000, 1985-86 season, where the Pistons averaged 114 points a game. And I just remember that season was so much fun to watch. I just loved watching those Pistons. They were another up-and-coming team. They had drafted Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas, and he was so much fun to watch. They also drafted Kelly Tripucka in the same draft. I remember a game where I don't know if they were playing the Denver Nuggets, and the score was like 188 to 186, and the Pistons won in Denver, and Isaiah and Kelly and John Long all scored over 40 points in that game. But again, that team wasn't going to win a championship, just like this team's not going to win a championship this year. But I had so much fun watching them. The truth is, there was actually less pressure to watch them when we were so good back in 88, 89, and 89, 90, and 2004 during those teams. It was nerve-wracking watching those teams. I mean, I was sweating bullets like practically every game because I knew every game could mean the difference between home court advantage, even the regular season games. But back then, we didn't expect that we were going to win anything, but they were just fun to watch. They had a lot of young and talented players. We had Vinnie Johnson. Joe Dumars played that season, and it was just before we drafted Rodman and Sally, and so it was before we got to be really good. So anyway, just enjoy this season and enjoy this team. And it was a great game. The victory over the Warriors, and then we followed it up on a back-to-back nights playing the Milwaukee Bucks, and we lost 110 to 108. But that was a great game. We were playing the second night of a back-to-back on the road, which that's usually a recipe for disaster when you're playing one of the best teams and the only undefeated team left in the NBA. And our guys got behind early, and they just hung in there, and they fought, and they come back, and we had a chance. Cade had a open three to tie it with 5 seconds to go. It was just an awesome game, and just so much fun to see our guys fight through it. And it was a big step for our guys, even though we came out a couple nights later and laid an egg, but which was only understandable when we played the Bucks a couple days later. So anyway, we'll get into that game. It was, I think, a matter of their size really hurt us. We really couldn't have an answer for Lopez. He was 10 for 16 and 24 points and 9 rebounds. And obviously Giannis had 31 and a bunch of rebounds. And we even had struggled with Portis, had 15 points and 12 rebounds, and he's like 6'10", 6'11". So we're at a big size disadvantage. And again, we are going to be better. Once Bagley's able to come back and Duran's able to come back. We got to see the first taste of Nerlens Noel, and I think he could be a nice backup and help us out when we need him. So we just need to get everybody back in place, and then I think we're going to be in really good shape. Not that we're going to win every game, but I think it'll make us be able to compete down low with bigger teams a lot better. So Sadiq had 10 points only. He was 4 for 9, 1 for 4 from 3. Disappointingly, though, he had only 1 rebound and 2 assists. He had 2 steals, and he was minus 12. He had the worst plus minus on the team again. So he has been playing really well, and we do need him to rebound more when we're playing that undersized lineup. Sadiq has games where he rebounds a lot, and we need him to get more rebounds. And again, I think he needs to look to share the ball once in a while when he drives in. He needs to see where the help's coming from and maybe dish it once in a while. Bojan had 23 points, 9 for 16, 3 for 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Typical Bojan game. He was great, and he shot the lights out, and he just was a tough, great player. Stu, he had another nice game, but he had 11 points, 4 for 9, 11 rebounds, and he's battling down there. He's playing against multiple big guys that are way bigger than him, and he's really been one of the better rebounders in the NBA so far this year. It was disappointing. He had 5 turnovers, which when you're playing center and don't touch the ball that many times, it's hard. If you're a point guard, it's natural to have a lot of turnovers, but when you're a post, usually you don't, and usually he doesn't. So Cade had a fantastic game, 27 points, 11 for 23, 3 of 9 on threes. He hit his first three threes, then he missed his next 6. He had 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and he had 5 turnovers, which again, that's a little bit too high for him, but he's going to usually get 3 or 4 a game, I think, for sure. But he has been magnificent lately, and he's currently averaging over 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. And if he continues that for the whole season, only Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Luka, and LaMelo Ball are the only other guys in history of the NBA who have averaged 26 and 6. So if he can keep that up, he will be in rarefied air. And I mean, we're going to see that throughout his career. He's going to do a lot of things that very few people do as an all-around great player. So he's also been fantastic from mid-range in the last 4 games. He's averaging 27 points and shooting 50% and 8 rebounds and 7 assists. I think he's been just incredible, except in the last game he struggled. So that could be expected. But he is, going to be one of the greatest players, in the NBA, and hopefully he'll be an all-star this year, if not this year, soon. So Ivy had a nice game. He had 19 points, 8 for 17. He had 6 rebounds. He was 0 for 4 on threes, which, I'm not sure about his shot yet. He shoots, his form's not consistent. He had 7 assists, which is great. But one thing that's becoming obvious for Ivy is that when he drives past the first player or whatever, people are really dropping on him. So when he gets into the lane, just to the free throw line even, the defense sags right back by the basket. So they give him all this space, and he doesn't know what to do. They're standing there waiting, right in front of the where the curve where the little line where they draw the charges from, and they're just standing there waiting for him. So the pull-up jumper's there, the one that Cade's been sticking, or the floater, and he's been trying to shoot these floaters sometimes from quite a distance. I've gone to Piston games where Steph Curry was warming up, and I'd watch him literally shoot floaters from the free throw line time after time after time. Well, I don't think that Jaden's practiced that shot. He needs to get a nice floater game, probably not from that far away, but he also needs to develop a pull-up jumper. I saw him also try to shoot one. That was one of the knocks on him coming out of college. And, obviously I'm sure he's going to work on it more and more as he goes. Hami had another good game, 4 for 9. He played only 13 minutes and had 5 rebounds. So that's a great game for him. Noel played 18 minutes. He made 1 bucket and had 4 rebounds and 2 assists. It's just not bad. It's going to be interesting to see, it's his first game, and so, obviously I think he can play better, and he'll play more maybe as we go along. Killian had no points, 0 for 4. He did have 4 rebounds and 3 assists, but it's the same old problem. We were going to talk about Killian. A lot of people, he's a very controversial player among the Detroit Pistons, among fans. They have some people like him, and some people are thinking that he's, never going to cut it. I can tell you there is some historical perspective on this, where there's been players. Chauncey Billups was the 3rd pick in the draft, and he bounced around quite a bit for probably about 5 years before he became the all-star player that he was with the Detroit Pistons. Currently, there's a player playing for the Charlotte Hornets, Dennis Smith Jr., and he was drafted by the Mavericks, averaged a lot of points a game, like 15 points a game, and he was their first-round picked quite high, and he had a really good rookie year, and I think he played 2 years there, and then partway through the second year, maybe they traded him. He was part of the Porzingis trade to the New York Knicks, and he went to the Knicks, had a pretty good year, and then he started playing less and less, and then he got traded to the Pistons. Pistons had him for a little while, gave him a shot. He played for Portland for a little while. He played in the G League a little while, and so anyway, he's been around the league, like 5 years. And just now, LaMelo Ball got hurt for the Hornets, and Dennis Smith Jr. came in there, and he's played really well for. I mean, it's only been 8 games, but he's really come on and played well. So it's happened, with other players throughout NBA history where they struggled at first and maybe even bounced around from team to team a little bit, and before a player really caught hold and had a very good NBA career. So we'll see what happens with Killian. Again, right now he is just it's sad to watch him. How you can just tell that emotionally, his body language, that how bad he's struggling. I'm really sure he's a better player than he is right now. I mean, anybody's better than shooting 17% or 16%. So we'll hope that whatever happens, I'm not sure there's not many options. He has no trade value, so you're not going to trade him. And sending him to the G League, we know that he can play really good against G League players. Not that that's not an option. They might want to try it. I don't know how that would affect him emotionally there. Or I'm thinking right now, what I would probably try to do was sit him out some games. Sit him out and not have him play, and then see what happens, and then put him back in there and let him play again. I still think that we can play Ivy and Cade at the point and stagger their minutes. And so when Cade's off the floor, let Ivy play the point. I think that he needs more minutes at the point position to help develop his game. And he's had games where he's done great job of distributing the ball and scoring the ball. So I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep on running him out there. Like I said in a previous episode, I think that if he were not drafted by Troy Weaver, that he wouldn't keep getting run out there. I think that Troy drafted him 7th, and so I think KC feels an obligation to play him. It reminds me of Sekou. The only difference between him and Sekou is KC wouldn't play Sekou. KC wouldn't even give Sekou a chance. I'm not saying that Sekou was going to be a great player. I didn't have any problem with them drafting him. I think at the number 15 spot, because of his high ceiling, I knew he had a chance of being a bust, but I thought, there's he had a chance to be a really great player. I just was disappointed they never really gave him minutes. They would give him 10 or 13 minutes, and then sometimes he wouldn't get to play at all. He had one stretch, maybe it was his rookie year, where he played really well. He had like 6 games in a row where he played phenomenally well, including one game against the Celtics. I think he had like 24 points on not very many shots, and then he didn't get to play again. So I'm not the coach. I'm not there at practice every day. I'm not there to see what Sekou did or didn't do in practice. And so there could have been things that really bothered Casey about how he practiced. Maybe he didn't try hard. Maybe his attitude wasn't good. But I didn't understand why, when we were going nowhere, we had really bad teams and we were basically tanking, why they just didn't play him. We were losing every night anyway, and why he never got to go out there and play 20 minutes or at least get consistent minutes like Killian's got. So Livers he had 1 3, was 1 for 2, and he's going to have that. He doesn't get to play a lot of time all the time because we have Sadiq and Bojan, and so I still hope that I'd like to see him get at least 20 minutes a game. And most of his shots, almost all of his shots, I think like 90% of the shots he's taken this year got to be 3-pointers. And he's going to be a really good shooter, and he does play really good on defense. And people have said that he is more athletic than a lot of people thought that he was coming out of Michigan. So that was a tough loss, but it was a great battle to go, like I said, on a back-to-back, to lose by 2 points to the Bucks, who won the championship only 2 years ago, and they're going to be one of the top teams this year. And so that was a good battle by the Pistons. It was very proud. It was inevitable that 2 nights later that they'd come out, and last night they played and they lost by 25, 116 to 91. And Cade came out 1 for 8, and he just struggled, and they really put the clamps on him. And they have Holiday is one of the best on-ball defenders. Holiday was guarding him the game when he had 27. So I guess that's not the only reason, but they were really obviously keen in on Cade. And then also it's just he just turned 21, And so he is not going to be great every night like he was for 4 games in a row. He's going to have some ups and downs, but um, he ended up the second half, he was 4 for 5. And so he ended up 5 for 13, which isn't great, but it's still, not terrible. Sadiq played 35 minutes, had 22 points. He was 5 for 12 from the floor, but he was really effective from the line. So again, when you score, if your shooting percentage is not that great, but you're still getting up to the free throw line and sinking a high percentage, you're still really an effective player. He um, he had 3 rebounds and only 1 assist, so playing all that minutes, and he got a lot of touches. Bojan had finally had a bad game, first bad game, of the whole season. He was 5 for 12, and he was still 3 for 7 on threes, which is a real good percentage still for most players. But he had 14 points and 3 for 7. He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. The big thing that's really surprising is he had 7 turnovers, which that is completely not like him. So, well, I'm sure he's going to bounce back, and he's going to be a real consistent player for us. Not at the level that he did for the first 6 or 7 games. I don't think anybody's that good. So. Stu had another good game. He had 16 points, 6 for 9 from the field, which is an excellent percentage. He was 2 for 3 on threes. He had 10 rebounds. He has been going to the line a lot. I mean, he is averaging six free throws per game, and Sadiq's doing a good job there too. He's averaging about 4 free throws a game. Our whole team is one of the better free throw attempts per game teams in the league. So that's been a big plus for us that we're getting to the line, we're getting the other team in the penalty. But we only shot this game, we shot 41% from the field, which is not good, and 35% on threes, which isn't terrible, but we had 21 turnovers. So again, our biggest recipe for disaster has been since the preseason and through the regular season has been high number of turnovers, and then once again we got pounded in the paint. So um, they outscored us by a ton in the paint, and so that's just going to be a problem. I think it will be improved once we get Duran back, and once we get Bagley back. I think we'll have a big improvement there. So again, Giannis pounded us 32 points. Lopez was 6 for 8, and in both games, Holiday. The first game we played them, Holiday made that 3 at the end that was the clincher for them, and he had a lot of points this game too. So Holiday he's not always the most consistent player, but he was great both games against us. They scored on 24 second chance points off offensive rebounds. We scored on 2, and the points in the paint was 56-30. So I think our formula for winning is we need to go at least 15 or less turnovers, and we need to have the points in the paint, even if we get outscored by 10 points, but it can't be by 20 points or more. That's happened to us so many times. So we got some tough games to look forward to. We're playing Cleveland, and they look like one of the best teams in the league, and they got that 2 of the best scoring guards, Mitchell, and he has just been lighting it up lately. And they got just a big front line that's really, really great on defense, and so that's going to be a big challenge to play them on Friday. So it's going to be fun, though. Like I said, we just got to look forward to these games, and I enjoy it, and I'm excited every night that they play to watch them play. So thank you for listening, though, and if you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and like our site, and then on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review if that's what you want to do. And I want to thank Kelly, my wife, for all of her work to produce this podcast, and my nephew Nathan for all that he's done for us. Thank you very much, and do something good for someone else. Make their day better. Thank you.